My name is Teresa Dixon, and I am the Women's Opportunity Center Services Manager. I have been a longtime client of the YWCA as well. So we have a program called Our Sister's Closet, which is our free clothing boutique, and I manage that. In addition to managing the closet, I facilitate a number of our groups. And I also lead Creative Expressions, which is an art group for survivors. And I feel really fortunate actually to do the art in particular because art's been a really important part of my journey and my journey to heal as well. I made this my last year at Eastern in response to something that was going on in my life at the time. My ex-husband kept telling me every time I would try and set a boundary that I was a bitch, and that was really impacting me. It was really affecting me. I want to be a kind person. I want to be a nice person. So I'd stop and I'd think, I guess I am. And I was trying to alter the way I was being and how I was doing things to prove that I'm not a bitchy person. And after a while, what I started to realize is it wasn't about me. I was actually setting really healthy boundaries for me. The problem was he didn't like the boundaries I was setting. And so what I decided to do was create myself a kind of armor to protect myself in those moments where those barbs just felt like they were too much for me to take. Before I left the relationship, I'd been a homemaker for a lot of years. And so domestic things really mean a lot to me. Buttons, aprons, rolling pins, wooden spoons. I love those materials. I love to be able to use them in my art. And so I designed this armor based off of some aprons that my grandma used to give us when we were little girls. And I wanted it to cover all the way down to my feet because, your feet are important. You can't have barbs thrown at your feet, otherwise your foundation crumbles, right? Red is a really important color for me too. It's a color that really represents womanhood and femininity. I made all of these buttons by hand. I wanted to represent the fact that part of my power comes from this thing that is devalued. I don't want to be ashamed of the fact that I love being domestic. Those things are things that I feel represent me in many ways. Those things are the things I wrap around me in the moments when I need nurtured. And so in creating armor for myself, I had to use those types of objects. When we think of self-actualization, we often tend to think of it as like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, because of the way the hierarchy is structured. What I have realized looking back over my own experience is there was self-actualization that was happening all along. It hasn't been, this sort of grand arrival kind of thing. I still have more road in my journey as well. And so it's not an arrival. It happens as you go along. My kids and I lived in the YWCA shelter for approximately 2.5 months while we waited for a place to be able to live. And when we finally moved into our new apartment, I created these cork boards that I put up in my room, and I divided them into these little sections that were supposed to represent all these different parts of my life. And then I put on little 3x5 cards different things I wanted to accomplish in those parts of my life. One of the things that I put on that cork board was that I wanted to buy a house. And there was a part of me that was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to do this. In 2016, I bought myself my first house. I don't think of just that moment when I was able to sign those papers and get those keys as the moment of self-actualization. I go all the way back to the moment where I had the courage to put that card on that board that said, I have this dream to buy myself and my family a home. To me, that's what self-actualization is about.